Hello, my name is Andrew and I love to make monsters. If you didn't catch the title of this video, I'm making a Minecraft creeper tissue box holder. I'm making this for my nephew for his birthday. I decided to use foam clay for this project. I had a lot of different ideas. I thought I could paint it, but then I thought the paint would show like the wood grain and I didn't want that. And then I thought about regular clay and I'd have to bake that and that would work. But I thought, well, why use that? Why don't we just skip that baking step and use some air dry foam clay? So I'm covering the entire box with this black foam clay from Pixiss. Any place where I add more foam clay, I use a little bit of water to smooth it in to help those two areas, blend together more seamlessly. Now, once this is all done, I want to cut out the creeper's face and have it recessed. So for the front of the box, I'm using a thicker piece of foam clay. That'll give me a little more depth to cut into. With the box all covered, I want to go ahead and add some vines to kind of help with his organic look. And I'll just add a few of these all the way around, just rolling out these little noodles of air dry clay and using some water to smooth in the ends. And now I've got him completely covered with some fun little vines. Now I'll let the clay dry overnight. This air dry clay recommends to dry for 24 to 48 hours. I just went with the 24 because I don't want it to be completely cured, but it is definitely cured on the outside. Now to get the shape of my creeper, I went ahead and measured out the width of the box, and I'm gonna do a square. I've got my square, and I'm going to go ahead and draw out the shape of the creeper's face by laying this over my iPad. This is an older iPad. I don't recommend doing this. I was very gentle, but I think if somebody was too firm by pressing on it, it could cause you to kind of damage your iPad. Now I'm just using my X-Acto knife to cut out my eyes and mouth. Now my template here is a square. The creeper head is square, but my Kleenex box is more of a rectangle. So I'm just gonna have to kind of center it more upwards. I'm gonna go ahead and tape it down so I can mark out my eyes and mouth without it moving on me. And I'm using a ruler to make sure that I've got it an equal distance from the bottom on both sides so he's not crooked. And I've got a paint marker. I can draw out his face. This will give me a nice guideline to use when I want to cut it out. Now that's a little off-centered, so I had my height right, but from left and right, he's a little shifted over, so I did kind of redraw some of those, and now I'm cutting it out with my X-Acto knife. And it's kind of a weird feeling because it is very firm on the top, and then you can feel it get squishy the moment that knife punctures it. You can see here that clay is not dry. Like I said, I only let it dry for 24 hours, but this way I can dig out that foam clay, and I don't want that wood exposed, so I basically want just a very thin layer of foam clay over it, but I still have that depth of the mouth. Now with enough of that clay dug out of there, I'm going to use a ball tool to make a texture on it. And I just thought it'd be more fun if it had kind of a weird, I don't know, I don't want to say drippy texture, but just kind of like this, I don't know, just a texture, okay? If you want to name the texture, just let me know in the comments down below. Went ahead and cut out the eyes the same way, but I used a spiral pattern to give him more of an eye look. And I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm using some of this FX flexible primer on it, just because the foam clay is flexible. It's not going to be moving around a lot, but I had the primer, so might as well use it. While I'm doing this, I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon backers, Kirsten, Heather, Jacob, Jeff, Delaney, Brandy, and Ani. Thank you so much for your support of my art journey. If you want to support the channel and see some behind the scenes photos, consider joining my Patreon, or you can check out my online store. Links to both of these are in the description box below. Now I'm going to cover the entire creeper with a base coat of green paint. This is patio paint. So patio paint has a built-in sealant. This will help protect the paint, since this will probably get handled more than, my normal creations. Now I didn't like the brush strokes I could still kind of see in the paint, so I decided to go ahead and cut a sponge in the same size as the creeper's eyes and blotch that on the entire thing to give me more of a less brush stroke look, maybe a little more organic look. Then I cut some smaller sponges that should be about the size of a pixel that would make up the creeper. The creeper's 8 pixels by 8 pixels on his face. And I'm using some various green patio paint to give him more of a video game look. Really like the way the sponge also is, like the squares aren't very defined, so it has more of an organic look mixed with the video game look, and that's what I was going for here. The neon green wasn't bright enough, so I did go over all of those again with a second coat. And then I wanted a few more green colors. I didn't have any more green of the patio paint or any more shades of green, so I just went ahead and used some other green paints that I had. I could have mixed, but I was lazy. With all the pixels done, I'm going to go ahead and let it dry overnight. And here is the finished Minecraft Creeper tissue box holder. My wife has had several of these tissue box holders in her art room. She does acrylic pour, and I've kind of been eyeballing them for a few years now. And I really want to make, like a monster out of them or something like that. But when I saw them, and then I knew my nephew liked creepers, I thought this would be a fun project to try with them. If you want to see another creation out of a tissue box holder, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell. Thank you for watching, and remember, never stop creating. Bye!